Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to push past those plateaus and keep you growing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dustin Moore here with the Progressive Overload Podcast, and I am joined today by Adam Lazarine.
What's up?
And Joe Copeland.
Hey.
And today we are going to be discussing a little bit about the subject of New Year's resolutions, kind of the idea of why do we set them, how do we set them, how do we stick to them, and that's the big part, and that's where most people miss the mark. So, as we get into this, guys, I think there's something that we all have kind of set as resolutions this year. We have this little contest that we're partaking in.
Yeah, I call it a challenge.
Challenge. I like, I'm so competitive. Like it's I win or I die. I'm super competitive.
Jeez. All right.
Not in ping pong. We're gonna leave that for another discussion. Oh man. But
fair enough.
As for this contest, Adam, why don't you introduce us to kind of what we are doing as we're walking through this?
Okay, the contest or the challenge that we have accepted as a group, and we are kind of holding each other accountable, which is one of the things that this contest does. It creates instant accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It is strictly a weight loss challenge this time around. And so if you get into the contest and you lose 9% of your body weight, you are automatically entered into the pool of people that will split the pot at the end of the 60 days. It is a 60-day challenge. You are supposed to commit to a diet plan or an eating plan of your choice without cheating. You're supposed to drink at least a gallon of water a day. That's tough sometimes.
True.
Then you are supposed to have 20 minutes of reflection. And then there was another thing that I forgot.
No alcohol, no desserts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
No dessert, no alcohol.
That's just a non-issue for us because we're just so on top of things. We just forget about that rule.
Well, most likely. I think keto fat bombs are not considered dessert. Joe and I discussed this, and so it's basically peanut butter and fat. Coconut
it's a
oil.
Part of your diet plan.
And it seems to work for me. So, Joe, why don't you jump in here?
So this is a challenge that I put on at the gym that I manage every single year. So this is our 7th year doing it, and that's actually how Dustin and Adam and I kind of that's where the conception of our relationship. So I guess it was 2020. Adam and Dustin were both finalists, and they had actually won free coaching from me as a prize of the contest, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I knew Adam a little bit because his wife worked for me, but that's how we got to know each other, and I actually got to coach them and build their programs for a while, and so that's really how we got to know each other. And so this year, maybe a couple weeks before the challenge starts, they were working out back there following my program, and I was like, man, you know what? I think you guys would be perfect for a podcast. Let's do it. Do you remember when I asked you that?
Oh, dude, do I ever. Yeah, I'm sitting there, mid-workout, trying to get a good pump in, headphones in, completely zoned out, and here comes Joe. Hey, so, you know a lot about technology. What would it take for us to make a podcast? And my answer was, I don't know. Let me research and I'll get back to you. And everything just kind of snowballed from there.
It did, man. It all came together so easily. Like, we haven't had to purchase a single thing, and so I really think and I believe that God is going to be has ordained this and the way everything's came out. And so, anyways, the challenge that we're doing together is going to be documented on our social medias, and so make sure you check that out. We're going to be uploading some of our workouts. I've taken a picture of a lot of my meals that I'm eating, and just to let y'all be a part of the journey. And I think it'll be fun for y'all to follow along. And then as the contest ends, that's what we're going to talk about today is our healthy lifestyle does not end after this 60-day challenge. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. I've said I've been doing this competition for 7 years now. All of them are I call them repeat offenders. They come to the challenge, they lose the weight, and then they stop at the end of that challenge, and then I see them again they start at the same weight that they started with the year before. And so, I'm a victim of that too. That's happened to me many, many times. And so, that's what I think is missing from a lot of the fitness industry is they're all 30-day programs, or 60-day programs, or, and creating that mentality that there's an end in sight when in reality there's not an end in sight.
Right. And I think one of the things that we want to convey to the people listening is that all of us are at different points in our fitness journey.
So true.
All of us have walked that road of, like you said, being a repeat offender.
Uh-huh.
I know I have. And so it's one of those things that we want to walk with you together. We want to try to meet where you are. Yeah. And there's not a wrong place. There's not a right place. You could be completely fit and hopefully get something out of our podcast. You can be completely out of shape and being on the couch listening.
Exactly.
And start today and figure out, hey, that works for me.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many different start points. Like you said, each of us are at a different place. We've got different levels of experience, different levels of things that we've walked through in our own personal journeys. Technically, you look at me, went through the contest and am back doing it again. And like, if we're truthful, I started at the same weight both times, but the visual of me is vastly different.
Yeah.
And that's where that lifestyle change comes into effect. It really is such a big thing that it does not end at the end of the program.
For sure.
Right.
And I made a Facebook post this morning on our page. I'm not your typical just six-pack abs fitness professional that has just been skinny their whole life, and they put on muscle, and now all of a sudden they're qualified to help people lose 100 pounds. And I'm not that I shouldn't have said that. I'm not disrespecting any personal trainer, because there are trainers out there that have helped people make drastic life change. But what that allows me to do is I get to relate to my clients and to even you listeners on different levels that a lot of those trainers have. I struggled my whole life with my weight, with a poor relationship with food, and just bad eating habits. I've been up, I've been down, and so that really helps me relate. And really, I really truly believe that it helps me be a better coach to my clients, because I'm walking the path with them.
Yeah, outside of the obvious of me considering you my friend, that's part of the reason that I continued through after you said, one of those free months of working with you. But that's part of the reason that I continued with it, is because you were so relatable and weren't intimidating like some people might seem to me, because I'm like, oh, I am that really that new fish. I'm that fresh meat that's out there. I'm completely new to all of this. It's a brand new world for me.
For sure.
And being able to see somebody that I can connect with and connect to and not be intimidated really motivated me to be able to say, maybe this is doable.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, I love that.
So we're talking about newness and the newness of the competition. We're talking about people that have made a goal for themselves, or a resolution. That's kind of the catchphrase for January, a New Year's resolution. And so we're towards the end of January here, but what we want to talk about today is some of those resolutions and keys to making them stick. How that works, what is best practices, I guess would be a good way to put that. And then also we might have a little advice for somebody that has already let their resolution slip. And so we're going to tackle all those things today. So Joe, why don't you jump off?
Yeah. So 80% of the New Year's resolutions have failed about this time of the year, third or fourth week of January. Some make it until, February or March, but the large portion of people who made a resolution to become healthier in 2022 have failed or going to fail statistically. And once again, I just believe that that's because of the mindset that mainstream fitness puts out there, through Instagram, through bodybuilding websites, through all that stuff. So what I wanted to do today is just give 5 steps of that you can take to make sure that you're not that statistic that's going to fail in the next couple of weeks, and that you can make this resolution a lifelong change. And I love when pastors break down their message into points. And so that's why I kind of wanted to make this into points. And so number one is all about behaviors and changing behaviors to make lasting change. So kind of what I like to say is don't create rules, create obstacles. So if you have certain cravings or certain temptation, food temptations that you struggle with, don't just have the mindset where I cannot have that. That is off limits. That is no way I'm going to eat that. That kind of creates a poor mentality, but instead create obstacles. And so this works really, really well. If you're a person, if you have struggles with eating, cookies at night or maybe cake or going to ice cream, don't make that rule in your head where I cannot eat this. Instead, create distance between you and that craving. So the way this looks is if you're that person that craves that ice cream, do not keep it in your house. And if you absolutely have to have it, get dressed, put your shoes on, get your keys, get in the car, drive down the road, and go get a single serving of ice cream. Not saying that's okay, but when you put that distance between that decision, you have more time to think about it.
You have to work harder for it.
You have to work harder for it, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm burning calories in the process of getting
exactly.
there.
No, you're. I mean, it's minimal movement, but you're still burning calories there. So
what are some of the things that you guys struggle with in that regard?
Oh, dude. So obviously, I'm a youth pastor. What is like every youth pastor's like, extra part of their food groups, right?
Pizza.
Absolutely.
Which is so applicable, and we actually have a funny story to go with this one, which is perfect.
Oh, that is perfect. I forgot about that.
So pizza's always been a struggle. Ever since I was a kid, pizza has been my absolute favorite food. And, I've in past taken the approach of giving myself the rule, I can't have pizza because it's so bad for me.
Yeah.
But I had to change my mindset. It's not really even about that. And once I started to do a little research and do a little digging, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Moderation was a big part of it. Because I could down a whole pizza by myself. Still could, probably. But, with strength, I restrained myself.
And a bottle of antacid.
Yes, maybe. But I had to transition to eating things more like cauliflower crust pizza as opposed to a typical pizza, which for me, does it taste as good? No. But it satisfies that craving in a better way.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to get at. And the story that Dustin is alluding to is as we were coming into the weekend, we typically will we've started to kind of put out pictures to one another talking about food prep and what are we eating and trying to, it's kind of a way to build in accountability.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's just fun because I want to know what they're eating and live my life vicariously through your diet. But as we did that on Friday, I sent a picture of my Fathead pizza. If you're on the keto diet, you know all about Fathead pizza, and it's delicious, and you should check it out. But if you're not on the keto diet, I would not recommend it. It's full of cheese and calories and fat, but it works for me. And I sent that out to these guys, and they both sent me back pictures of their pizza or what they were eating.
Yeah, I had a crustless pizza, just a big pile of cheese and sauce and toppings and all that fun stuff.
Right, and Dustin had his cauliflower pizza replica. And so we had a good time with that on Friday.
I'll have you know, I stared at the picture of that Fathead pizza while I ate that cauliflower pizza.
That's probably helped. It probably helped you.
Yeah. So the second, one more behavior that I'd like to talk about is being present during meals. So many times.
Explain that.
Yeah. So how many times are y'all eating your meals in front of the TV?
Multiple times
or with your phone in your hand, scrolling through Tickety Talk like you, Dustin, or something like that.
Tickety Talk. Yeah, you got me.
And so most of the time we are distracted as we're eating, and so why we're present during meals, because it allows us to be aware of the signals that our body's sending us. So a quick science lesson: there are 2 neurochemicals in our body that control hunger and the feeling of fullness, called leptin and ghrelin. Don't ask me to spell that.
Getting clinical now.
I know. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but leptin is the chemical that's sent to our body whenever we are hungry. It's the hunger hormone. And so whenever we're hungry, truly hungry, not just cravings, we can get into that later on a different episode, but whenever we are truly hungry, leptin tells our body that we want food. And so as you start to feed your body and fill your body with the nutrients, once you become full and in a scientifical sense of full, like your body has had what it wants, ghrelin starts to kick in and tells your body you're full. What happens when you're not present and you're not paying attention to the signals that your body's sending you, you tend to eat so fast that you do not give your body time to react to that fullness.
Huh.
And that's when we overeat. And once again, preaching to the freaking choir. Dustin and I when we eat meals together, it's like a competition who can eat the fastest. Like we're just
And I always win.
inhaling it, yes. And we attribute that to our high school days of having
thank you
a
for that
30-second
lunch.
30-second lunch break. But whenever we slow down, enjoy each bite, really just enjoy the food for the textures and the flavors. And
should we have a chew count?
Yeah, I mean, well, technically there is, and that's why there's actually a diet book, and I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's like I think it's called like the 66 chew, or don't quote me on that, but there's a book that tells you if you chew your food 66 times, you will lose weight, and it happens every time because you're less likely to overeat because you're giving your body that time to.
Interesting.
Yeah, so.
I feel like an umpire with a pitch count.
Yeah,
I don't know that works.
Yeah.
But if it works for you, then that's fantastic. It's
Yeah,
another tool in your arsenal that you can use.
Exactly. So eat slow and be present, and even journal if you need to. Sometimes journaling can help us understand different foods and how our body reacts to those foods. So if you can look back in your journal after you ate pizza and it says feels like crap, you can maybe make that decision. Okay, I want pizza right now, but then I saw in this journal, I remember it made me feel like crap. That can help you kind of make make a conscious decision. So that's behaviors. Any other that you'd like to add? That I know, obviously there's way more, but these are kind of the top ones that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I think our grocery, for me and my family, and our grocery list is really important because we can make a decision beforehand. Yeah. It's like making a plan of action and then executing that plan.
Yep.
If I know what I want to eat, and even something that's like Fathead Pizza, I'm just going to keep picking on it just because it's kind of like the highlight of my week as far as meals go. I have to prepare for that, and so I buy the ingredients and then I save them and wait. Yeah. And so it's kind of creating, like you said, that distance between the meal that I want versus what I'm going to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. The shopping list and the preparing ahead of time is such a big. I've started to meal prep, and I've meal prepped for a while now. Typically, I meal prep one meal a day. I usually prep my lunch, take it with me to the office. But having to go through the process of mentally preparing ahead of time of what I'm going to eat, how I'm going to pair things together. The prep of cooking it, when I'm going to cook it. I don't have a family, so I'm not shopping for more than myself, so I'm able to get a little more detailed for my own sake. But that discipline of being able to walk through that and then having to stick to it was such a big behavior change for me. Yeah. And it really became a behavior change because, and I think this is one thing that we're kind of getting at, don't create rules, create behaviors. When we enforce rules on ourselves, we're so rigid that the second we fall out of line with it, we get discouraged.
Yeah. Right.
But as I'm creating behaviors, I'm creating what I am doing. And if there's a slip or a slide or a little give or take here or there, that it's okay. I'll get back on track. I'm not just, I messed up, now I'm out of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And Joe, I was privileged to be with you the other day when you stepped on the scale. And your words to me have resonated ever since. Do you remember what you told me when you got off the scale? You were like, hey, turns out if you...
Oh, yes.
if you don't eat like a 12-year-old, you lose weight.
Exactly.
And so I thought about that because I have kids, and I thought about the fact that whenever they go into the pantry, it's a completely different experience than whenever
Yes.
I step into the pantry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just having that behavior to
Yep.
when you step into the grocery store or the pantry
Mhm.
or the freezer or
For
the
sure.
refrigerator. I can't eat what they eat as,
Yeah.
young children.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, as y'all talk about, one last thing, as you talk about grocery shopping, and I know I live in a little bit bigger town than you guys, so I have my wife has, the ability to shop online, and so this is a way that you can keep yourself from deviating from your plan. You're not going
Yes.
inside the store. You're not making those last minute
Yes.
decisions. So if you live in a town big enough to grocery shop online, it's a really, really good way to really control what's coming into your house. And so,
I'm the exact same way. Obviously, being in different circumstance, I don't do shopping online. But when I go into the store, I can look at the signs like on each aisle,
yeah,
and mentally I tell myself there are certain aisles I will not allow myself to go down
yeah.
because there's nothing on it that I need that will
Mhm.
benefit me or that is going to be a part of what I'm doing or prepping.
Yeah. So number 2 is have an accountability partner or a group of accountability.
Yo, amen.
Yes.
yes.
Having people in your life that know your struggles on a personal level, that know your goals and knows your why. Having those people in your life is crucial
Mm.
to your success, and obviously this goes way farther than just having an accountability partner for your health. We can talk later about how that works in our walk with Christ, but
Yeah.
and have somebody that is empathetic. Don't have somebody that if you fail they're gonna freaking ream you, but have somebody say, hey man, it's okay, let's learn from it and let's move on.
Let's do it again. Yeah.
This is probably the first time that I've had an accountability group, you two in my health, and I can already tell it's such a game changer for myself.
It is such a game changer. I've actually had this before. I have a group of friends that I have stayed connected with, even though we were pretty distant, living across the U.S.
Yeah.
And we set out to do some challenges and fitness stuff periodically, just to push each other, just to
Mhm.
challenge ourselves and hold each other to something, to strengthen our relationships with each other as we're doing it. And it's such a big game changer. There is such a difference when you know there are people who are looking out for you,
Yeah.
who are looking up to you in some cases, and just not even, I wouldn't even say expecting the best,
Yeah.
but wanting to see the best in you,
For sure.
Right.
because they're dedicated to that process
Yeah.
alongside you.
Yeah.
Right. And I had this last year during the contest because I wasn't a part of a team.
That's right. That's
and
right.
so one of the members of my team, I would text every weigh-in day.
Mhm.
And so we would have a healthy competition of, I lost this much weight, I gained this much weight, I didn't lose any weight.
Yeah.
And then we
Mhm.
would discuss, hey, it was probably what we ate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really good to have that. And like you said, even though it was a part of a team on a contest, I feel like accountability becomes that.
Mhm.
If you've ever been a part of team sports in any
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
it's not there's a reason that it's called a team sport. It's because it's not the individual anymore.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It's the sum of all the parts. And
Mhm.
so while weight loss and your spiritual life are both individual efforts, and it takes a lot of individual effort, when you have a team,
Yeah.
it really does make a difference.
For
Yeah.
sure. So number 3 is I just titled it "Have Grace." If you fail, if you deviate from your plan,
Mhm.
just have grace on yourself. God gives us unrelenting grace. Why wouldn't we have grace for ourselves? So
Mhm.
learn from it. Figure out maybe why you failed.
Yeah.
What steps maybe you didn't put in place to keep her from failing. Maybe think about what what was going on in your mind whenever you decided to make that decision to
Mhm.
to eat the pizza or whatever. That we keep going back to that. There's more than that, and just move forward. Though a terrible behavior that you can have is saying, crap, I failed. While I failed, I might as well go fail some more. This is my wife and I had gone through this behavior before where maybe it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, and maybe we have some cookies, and we're like, well, we're off our diet now. We might as well just
keep
enjoy
going.
the whole weekend. We'll start
just
fresh on
restart
Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody
And
said that.
I know, and I hate that mentality. Even though I fall into it all the time. You know, if you truly want better health, you don't have to start on a Monday. And I mean, this is a January episode. I mean, you don't have to wait until January to start your health. You know,
Right. I think one of the things that we confuse as we're talking about grace is we don't give grace because we equate failing with failure.
Yeah.
And those are two different things.
Yeah.
You know, because most of the most successful people in the world have failed,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't term themselves failures, even though they have momentary issues
That's
with
good, yeah.
failing. And so when we fail, we need to remember that it doesn't make us a failure. It's just a failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have to remember that even if we do fail, even if we do fall, we have to get back up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, famous, movie quotes. Let's go back to the movies, right? It's not about how hard you get hit,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You got to keep on getting back up and getting back after it.
Yeah.
And that is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, the second that they have that moment where they fail or they feel like they failed, even if they in reality didn't. I would think of this as those people who perhaps they set out on this journey and they desire to lose weight, and instantly they start to step on the scale every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the second they see an uptick, they're like, oh man, I blew it.
Yeah.
In reality, like there's any number of factors that could be contributing to
Yeah,
that
exactly.
in reality. And, a quick little jog maybe, and you don't have some water that you're holding on to.
Maybe go
and,
use the restroom.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, you have to be able to give yourself room to breathe.
For sure.
It's so important.
Number 4 is probably my favorite one, and it's also the hardest one to tackle.
Oh, I love this.
It is understanding the difference between motivation and discipline. So I always say this: motivation will fail you 100% of the time. Nobody can stay on the mountaintop for the rest of their life. We all have mountaintops and we have valleys. I explained earlier, these last year and a half, I've been, and health-wise, I've kind of feel like I've been in a valley. I lost some of my spark and some of my passion. I could blame some of it on parenthood or whatever, but just letting the excuse of exhaustion keeping me from staying on that mountaintop or whatever it looks like there, or laziness or whatever. Understanding that we can never rely on motivation to carry us through. And that's why New Year's resolutions fail, because they're relying on that new year, new me, January motivation to carry them, but it will always fail. And so discipline is choosing to move forward regardless of motivation, and just making that this conscious decision every single day. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. I think it goes back to that whole idea of making behavioral changes.
Yeah.
That fits with discipline, because you brush your teeth every day, hopefully, and that becomes a part of your routine, and you become disciplined in doing that. You don't have to motivate yourself to do that, and so it becomes that way with our fitness journey and our faith journey as well.
Yeah, motivation lasts a moment.
Yeah,
lifestyle lasts a lifetime.
Yeah, discipline is supposed to carry you through those valleys, and so that's why I love that one. And it's easy to say, it's so hard to master.
Yeah, it's like motivation. It like rides the roller coaster. It has those peak points and it has those low points. Discipline keeps you consistent.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
and you can tell the difference between those two by what you let come out of your mouth. And if you're part of a New Year's resolution, I encourage you, but you've probably been where we have all been, where you say, I'm going to do this. I'm motivated to do this. I won't let anything stop me from doing this. And you're setting yourself up for instant failure.
And then the pizza sign is lit up as you're driving to work, and you're like, tomorrow.
Right. I'll do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so you can, if you hear those things, or if you've heard those things come out of your mouth or through your mind, then you know
Yeah.
you're on the wrong side of this equation.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to make sure and right the ship.
Yep, for sure. And last tip I have for you, I call it, we need to chase health and chase wellness. And if we
Mhm.
do that, aesthetics will follow. And by aesthetics, I mean exercising to change the way we look, exercising to lose weight, exercising to gain muscle.
Mm-hmm.
If we're chasing health and wellness, the words that are synonymous with that is balance. And we think we focus on better sleep and energy levels and libido. Yeah, I know that's always a taboo thing to talk about, but it's a marker of health. Rather than that, if all you're doing is chasing aesthetics, you are obsessed with the scale. You're obsessed with exercising. Even you're like, okay, if I don't get this workout today, I will not hit my goals. And that is a stressful way to live. And it's not a balanced way to live. It's not the way that we should approach our health.
Right. And I think there are markers to wellness, and maybe y'all can help me understand some of those. And you just touched on several of them, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking about in the space where we work out,
Mm-hmm.
there are wellness indicators, and
Yeah.
you work on these
Yeah.
things
Mm-hmm.
as a part of your overall fitness.
Exactly.
And, so you hit on sleep, you hit on
So there's nutrition, there's exercise, sleep, substance abuse. So, avoiding alcohols and substance abuses like that. Relationships, which is
Huge.
always kind of put on the back burner whenever we're talking about wellness. And was that 5? Yeah, I think that's it.
stress.
Oh, stress. Yes, good. Yeah, stress.
Good shout.
Being stressed can raise your cortisol levels and will make losing weight or becoming healthy very, very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, I've kind of gone through this process, right? Because you look in the mirror and you're like, man, I wish I looked like this, right?
Yeah.
And so you have that aesthetic that you want, and then you start to go through that, and that's kind of one of the mindset things that has changed with me is now I'm just pursuing health in general, and I've kind of rewired my brain to think, it's not that I want to look like that. I already do. I just have to get there.
Yeah.
It's just covered up. I have the 6-pack of abs,
that's
right?
It's just
I just care enough to keep it protected, and we're
That's
going to
right.
work
you
on
gotta keep that stuff
eliminating
safe.
that, right?
I vote for the ab. It's
You
easier
have
to
one
work
ab.
one.
Yeah.
Dab.
So,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you mentioned, Joe, is aesthetics will follow, and that's where we get so caught up in mainstream fitness.
Yeah.
Is if you don't aesthetically look like this or that, or have, this physique or this figure, then you're not healthy, and
Yeah.
that is so untrue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the people that are like bodybuilders, for example, or bikini athletes. Most of those people, if you look at health markers that you would go see the doctor with, have terrible health whenever you consider hormones and all sorts of other health markers. A lot of those people and what's even worse is they just have a terrible relationship with their body. They're not, most bodybuilders are not, they have the worst self-esteem than, a lot of overweight people. They just have the discipline or whatever to actually make changes about that,
Yeah.
So those are kind of all the 5 main ones that I wanted to talk about. Obviously there's so much more that we can talk about, but that's, we have to save some nuggets for our future episodes, So, the second part of why we're doing this podcast is Jesus used parables all the time in the Bible, and that's how he taught. If you look at the sermons that are recorded in the Bible, a lot of them are told through parables. So part of what we wanted to do is create our own modern day parables, and using these fitness topics that we've talked about and how we can relate them to our walk with Christ. And so do y'all have any that comes to your mind off the top of your head?
Well, we're talking about New Year's resolutions, and one of the Bible verses that I think of is 1 Timothy 4:8, and it helps us keep our exercise in perspective. And so
Okay.
what it says is, for physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things,
Yeah, that's good.
holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. And so as you think about New Year's resolutions and making a behavioral change or any kind of change,
Mhm.
you have to wrestle with the why.
Yeah.
And I think when you come down to our spiritual walk and our fitness journey as well, the why becomes so much more critical.
Exactly.
And so let me just give you an example. So you make a New Year's resolution to pray more, okay? You have to know why.
Yeah.
Do I want to pray more just because I heard it was something good to do? Or
Mhm.
I make a resolution to read the Bible more, which most of us have all
Oh,
done
yeah.
at some point in time. Or I
Yeah.
want to read through the Bible in a year.
Mhm.
Those are big New Year's resolutions for, people that enjoy that. But if you don't attach the why to the what, then you're already setting yourself up to fail. Because if you want to read the Bible more, why do you want to do that? Is it just something that you think is going to be good for you, or
Yeah.
do you want to do it to honor God?
Exactly.
And so you have to figure out the why in both of those areas.
Yeah, and looking specifically at the ways that we talked about, this is what you can do to help stick to your New Year's resolutions. One that sticks out to me is don't create rules, change behaviors.
Yeah.
Create behaviors. We look biblically, we look at what Jesus has done for us, right? The law.
Mhm.
The law, he completed, he fulfilled the law. The rules, it's gone from rules to a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I
there
love
there
that,
is
yeah.
that there has been that change where he has fulfilled the law in our place.
Yeah.
And so the same way in our fitness journey, we don't impose those rules on ourselves. I get so many questions from students, right?
Yeah.
They ask me, look, but Dustin, this in the Old Testament they talk about what you can and can't eat, right?
Mhm.
There's these food laws. But I really like pork. I really like insert the blank, right? Fill in the
Right.
blank. Does that mean I'm sinning when I'm eating it? No,
No,
right?
Not at all.
Like we live in this time post Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection.
Yeah.
Things are different now. We don't have that we submit ourselves to, right? Our walk with Christ, our relationship with Christ is different. Our relationship to the Savior is different
Yeah.
than those who had to live back in our Old Testament times.
Right.
And it's like when I think it was James that said, "In even the demons know God," and so it's not about knowing God. It's about, are you making the lifestyle changes in your life to glorify God and accept Jesus as your personal Savior. They knew everything that we know about Jesus. They just chose not to follow that. And the same
Yeah.
thing, there's a plethora of fitness and nutrition information out there. And, it's not that we don't know what food is, what healthy food looks like, or what we should be doing with exercise. I mean, it's just that we're choosing not to have those behaviors,
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think so many of our New Year's resolutions are in relationship with physical things. It's going to
Yeah.
be about weight. It's going to be about time management. It's going to
Mhm.
be about family. It's going to be about something else. It's going to be about something physical.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a better boss, or I'm going
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah.
better husband, or
Yeah.
I'm going to be, that's something that's tangible. And
Mhm.
spiritual
Mhm.
issues, sometimes we struggle with making a resolution, but we end up doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to kind of that idea of grace, because if you set yourself up to fail in some of those physical areas,
Yeah.
it's no different with our spiritual areas. And so our spiritual lives in our walk, we don't really designate Sundays as a day that we choose to worship.
Yeah.
But other than knowing that, your diet life, your physical life doesn't realize that it's Monday or Tuesday.
Exactly.
So
in
true.
your fitness journey,
Time is man-made.
it doesn't matter. And so if you think about your spiritual walk in that way, then you got to just give yourself a little grace and say, okay, yeah, I have messed this up,
Mm.
but I can begin anew today.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of grace that God gives.
I love that, man.
So,
Yeah, our bodies and don't know that it's a Monday. Our bodies don't know that it's January. You know, there's no reason that you should have to wait until January or until let's just start new on Monday. And you know, there's no reason you have to wait. And oh yeah, that's I was gonna say if you have already failed your New Year's resolutions, that's what I mean. There's nothing that says that you can't pick it back up and start fresh. Your
Yeah.
body doesn't know that you failed. It's January. Let's just learn from it, why you failed. Let's move on forward and have grace with yourself.
right. And we got to remember that there's no power in the term New Year's resolution.
No.
There's no extra benefit to using that language. You could call it a teeth cleaning and be just the same. You know, I'm going to pick up my teeth cleaning tomorrow and talk about that as your fitness journey, and it'd be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so your wording actually matters.
Mhm.
You know, whenever you're going to set a goal for yourself, maybe it'd be a good thing to go back and if you haven't already taken a few notes, write them down. You know, make a behavior change.
Yeah.
You know, do some of the things that we've been talking about. Have some accountability.
Yeah.
Choose grace over punishment
Mhm.
for yourself. Motivate
Yeah.
versus discipline.
Yeah.
You know, we want to be disciplined in some of the things that we're doing, and then we chase health and not the way we look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Look, if you need some accountability, go follow us on social media, and like I said, we want to create a group. Message us, or you can email us, and you know we want to help hold you accountable. And
Yeah.
so you know once we kind of create a bigger following, you know, God willing, you know, we can create like a Facebook group or something like that, to where we have a community where we can
Yeah.
post you know, progress pictures and you know, questions with, you know, I would love to help you if you have questions on an exercise or workout programming. You know, that's what we're here for, and that's the group that we're wanting to create. And so yeah, go to our social medias and let's all hold each other accountable.
Yes, please, please, please connect with us on social media. We want this to become a community of like-minded individuals who can hold each other to a progressive overload.
Yep.
And you know, that looks like a different thing for each person. Each of us, like we've said before, will be sharing our personal journeys on social media through this.
Yeah.
And progress as we go through things like the challenge that we talked about earlier. But as we prepare to wrap up, remember 5 tips for sticking with your New Year's resolutions. Don't create rules, create behaviors. Improve your behaviors. Have that accountability. If you don't have it, don't go through this alone. We can help be that accountability for you. Remember to be sympathetic with yourself. You know that if you fail, it's not the end of the world. Have some grace and get back at it as soon as possible. Remember, there's a difference between motivation and discipline. We're disciplining our bodies as we walk through this journey together. And remember, don't chase aesthetics, chase health. That other stuff, that'll come later.
Yeah.
You know, it really reminds me of one of my favorite verses in all of Scripture, 1 Timothy 4:15. Practice these things. Stay committed to them so your progress may be evident to all.
I love it, man.
Any last words before we...
I don't think so.
yeah,
Y'all
guys.
check us out. We're going to be dropping episodes every week. Not sure what day yet, but click the like and subscribe button on your podcast platform, and you can be notified whenever our next episode drops.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
All right.